What's going on, YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you. Today's video, I think something's wrong with the GT350, so won't be driving the GT350 today. Gonna leave it parked. I attempted to drive it this morning, but then something happened and I had to take the Blazer out, which is why it's outside. So I'll get all into what happened and what I think is wrong and where I'm about to go now. So I got a side quest I gotta complete before I can get this thing looked at. So follow me along in today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell about the channel. Let's jump into it. So this morning, I was letting the GT350 warm up because if you've seen the previous couple videos, I did the exhaust video and driving it in the snow. It was a little aggressive out there. And before that, I was talking about the however many mile, 15,000 mile ownership experience. So as I was doing that, I looked at the oil and it seemed to be okay. But this morning, as the car warmed up, it was smelled like something burnt when I sat down. So I was like, it's probably time I get that oil change. And at this point, I'm like, I don't want to drive it if it's smelling like that. So it was like 15 degrees this morning. Actually 10 degrees when I was letting the car warm up. Don't know if it was smelling like that because it was cold. I doubt it. And I know with these engines and looking at the oil, like it was getting low. So not driving it today. So I need an oil change, not driving it until I can get an oil change. So as I was out running my errands, I was calling the dealerships because I don't like the way that the dealerships, first oil change I got on the GT350, had to wait 4 hours for an oil change. They didn't have the filter in stock. Second time I got the oil change, it was pretty smooth. I dropped it off, went to work, and it was ready as soon as I sat down at work. So I'm like, oh crap. And tried to get I wanted to get the oil change. Should have got the oil change when I got the shifter fixed, but wasn't thinking about that because it sat there for a couple weeks. So what happened was, I think from the aggressive driving, the car being such a high compression rate engine, it needs an oil change more frequently than the sticker says. So the sticker says 16,000 miles, and the date is January 20th for an oil change. Today is January 3rd, and I just reached 15,000 miles in a couple videos ago. So it's premature for getting an oil change, but I know those cars tend to burn more oil than normal. I don't know if that's normal for all GT350s. I thought I was good, but my car has low oil. I'm hoping it's just low oil, and I hope it's nothing serious because that scares the crap out of me. Good thing is I'm in warranty and I kept up with all my maintenance. So I called around to a few dealerships so I can just make this a seamless thing. So the first one I called, they didn't have any oil filters. The oil filters are on back order. So I forgot about the pandemic, still in it, even though it doesn't seem like it's been, how long has it been? Like 2 years? But yeah, I called and they referred me to another dealership. That dealership had one, but it wasn't the Motorcraft oil filter, which is what Ford puts on there. That's the stock one. They had aftermarket ones. So they gave me 2 more dealerships to call. One dealership couldn't get me into the 17th of January, which is exactly 2 weeks from now. And that's, I need my oil change tomorrow. And then they didn't have the oil filter. So 5 dealerships, I called all 5 of them. 2 of them had aftermarket oil filters, and I'm headed to the only one with 2 oil filters for the GT350. They're back order everywhere. So when they look it up in the system, you don't know if it's the OEM oil filter or the aftermarket. So in this case, it ended up being OEM, and it was the last one I called because why would I keep calling if I found what I needed? So I'm headed to Bob Maxey downtown Detroit to buy an oil filter to take to another dealership, because if I got the oil change today, I would have to wait for hours, and I'm not trying to do that. So I'm going to pick up the oil filter now. We'll see how much that costs, and then I'll take it to get the oil change tomorrow. Hopefully that's it, but I'll let you know later on. But let me head to this dealership and get this oil filter before it's gone. Made it to the dealership here, Bob Maxey, downtown Detroit, literally right across the street from Canada. So, geography lesson. So if you look right across the street, right between those two buildings, that's Canada across the water. That's the Detroit River. And the Renaissance Center is right behind this Ford sign. So downtown Detroit off Jefferson. Alright, so this is what we twerking with right here. So it's a Motorcraft oil filter. Nothing extravagant. Let me see what this thing look like. I personally had no idea. Oh, that's it. That's alright. Oil filter. These things also came with it. The oil filter, it was $38.55. After taxes, was $40.86. Hopefully they look out for me when I get my oil changed, so I have to drive here and get this oil filter. So it's normally like $160 to get my oil changed. I just want to pay the same thing, or give me a little discount. I have to drive on my way and call all these people. They could have did that for me, but yeah. Let me go home. First thing in the morning, 7 o'clock, going to get the oil change. Hopefully it's the oil change, because if not, woo, about to be making some Blazer content. Or order one of those cars that I put on the poll. I want to start posting more polls on my YouTube channel. Gives me another opportunity to connect with you all. I love my subscribers, y'all. Y'all brighten my day, especially the positive comments. Like, that gives me the motivation to keep on going. There's a few trolls out there, but yeah. It's pitch black out here. It's like 6:40. Let me check this oil so I can go to the dealership. Pop the hood before I get things going. My filter and my receipt. Ah, boy, sounds ugly. Check the dipstick. The car hasn't moved in a couple days. This oil looks dirty. Will it pick up on the camera? It is pitch black in here, guys. Alright, what we are about to do, I'm gonna turn the car on. Doesn't smell burnt in here right now, but I'm sure once the oil gets to going, it will. So let me turn this thing on. Cold start. So that was one of the more vicious cold starts, because it is very cold outside. Let me let the car warm up for a minute. We'll move on once we see the oil temp go up, and make sure the oil pressure is good. It's a good thing in this car they know, because they wouldn't have these right here if they didn't know this was a thing to check. It's 28 degrees in the garage. Alright, pulled out the garage. Definitely smelling a little burnt right now, so let me take it easy to the dealership, and then backing out a little bit. Kind of like sputtered when I was going. I wasn't giving it enough gas, so I don't know, I'm paranoid. I see like the white smoke behind me. Y'all can't see, because I don't know if it's cold or if it's an oil thing. So now I'm being a little delusional, so let me just get here and get this done. Right across from the Ford dealership. I had to get off the highway on the way here. Like, the car started riding weird. Like, I was doing like 60 in 6th gear, and it was like a up and down vibration that made me nauseous. So I thought I was gonna have to tow it here, and I stopped at a gas station, but it idled fine, and like 30 miles an hour, it seemed okay. So let me hurry up and see what they gotta say. I think it's just, I'm hoping it's just oil, because I do not want to get an engine rebuild. That's not the move. So let's see what they say. Hey, good, and you?
Good. What you bringing in for today?
Oil change.
Okay, no problem. You can hang around for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
About how long is the wait today?
I'm going to say, because he's got to run a little bit longer, probably looking about 2 hours.
Okay, that's fine. Are you the one with the Wimbledon white GT?
Yeah.
Okay. How's it going?
It'd be better if it starts this winter.
I gotta.
Going on with it. I gotta get my technician out to my house to look at it.
Okay,
But
yeah.
for me, he doesn't live far from me, and I don't live far from work, so.
That's great. Cause I was I jumped in the car yesterday. I smelled the burning smell. I'm like 1,000 miles before the oil change. So
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I brought an oil filter here because I heard you all didn't have one. So
Yeah.
I went and picked one up.
Yeah, as far as I know, we still can't get them.
Yeah, I went down to the downtown dealership in Detroit. What was that? Not Bill Brown, but Maxie. Leave that in here. Got my oil change. Should be all good to go. I'm actually about to check the dipstick now. But as I was calling around, like to the parts place, this is how you know that everybody that works at the dealership is not a car person. Calling around, like, yeah, I have a 2019 GT350 looking for the oil filter. They're like, is that the one with the 5.2? Like, bruh, do you even work with cars? Like, yes, should be proud of that. That's, I don't know, not everybody that works in automotive is in the cars. Like, it's crazy how many people don't care about cars at all. And me being in the automotive field, most people don't care about the cars. They don't even know what cars the OEM sells, so it's not shocking. But I generally like taking it to Elder Ford because the service manager here, he has a GT350R. He knows about these cars. The engine oil separators will definitely help. Catch cans, basically. I don't have them at this point. I know I should do it now, so I'll do that at a later date. But let me get to this oil. I had an Audi with the 2-liter turbo. They had to rebuild that engine under warranty because it burned excessive oil. And I was in my 2012 Audi A5. So they rebuilt that engine. That was like a $6,000 fix, free under warranty. Cleaning the dipstick, putting it back in to take a look at the oil. Will the camera focus today? Not sure if that's in focus, but that oil is much cleaner. You can see through it. Before it was like a cloudy, it was dirty looking oil. Hopefully that fixes the issue, but let's see how this thing drives now. So like I said, I got off the highway to get here because it was just riding a little rough. The engine was shaky, so it made me nervous. I started to call the tow truck, but it was normal at idle, so kept on driving. Got that warranty. Got the little warranty courage right there. But yeah, let's see how we drive now. So it is recommended that I check this in the next 500 miles just to check out the levels to make sure it's all good. Gonna see if I can set a reminder in here so it'll remind me to do that. Can't remember if this car does that or not. Probably doesn't. For a rule of thumb, do it every 1,000 miles on this car. This is why I like talking to Will here, the service manager, because he was riding in his friend's recently, and his was riding rough. It was burning oil too, so these cars go through oil quicker than the sticker will say. And now this sticker says 20,082 miles for my next service, and that would be June. So I'm not going to wait that long. So I'm going to stay proactive about that. Check it in 500 miles just to make sure we good. All right, so let's talk pricing since I brought my own oil filter. So yesterday, the oil filter after taxes was $40.86. And this was, the labor for the oil change was $17. The parts was $115 for the oil and $250 in miscellaneous charges. So $134.90 subtotal and $141.80. So I spent about $180 on this oil change. Probably because I paid more for that oil filter. Probably $15-$20 more, but I'm not about to argue over $20 at this point. I'm about to go home now. Let's test the car out just to make sure it's not doing that vibration crap. So let me get on the highway and get on it a little bit. Alright, about to get on the freeway now. It's a little slick out here. ice on the road. What the heck? Wait till I get on the dry. That seems good. So earlier I was doing like 60, 65, and there was like a constant shake. It was just like constantly, and it felt like the engine was not firing as it should. At idle it was smooth, but as I was rolling, like between, I didn't notice it at 30 miles an hour, but I noticed it at 65 and at like 40 and 45. So that's when I got off the highway. I'm like, let me just take it very easy. But now it's not doing that anymore. So word to the wise with these things, check your oil often, get the oil separator, catch cans, just so you won't have to run into this, because it happened quite suddenly. Like the car was running fine, Jeff did his thing with it for the exhaust video, and I took it out for the snow video, and I didn't smell anything. But I guess after that was kind of a little taxing on the engine. So the next time after I did the snow video, it wasn't even that taxing that day. I smelled the oil burning, and I noticed the engine was running a little rough. And Jeff did mention, like, man, it did have one rough idle when he had the car. So I was like, yeah, I absolutely have to get that oil change. But then it just happened like two trips later, and only drove like not even 5 miles for that snow video. So it happened quite quick. So you got to stay on top of that thing in this car. So I was getting motion sickness from that. I normally got a strong stomach, like I'm good with roller coasters and things, but that was making me nauseous, making me a little queasy. So I feel okay now. The car feels much better. I don't smell the burning. Will assure me that should be it, and I'll take his word for it, because I think I'm good now. So stay on top of those oil changes. Got on the highway, it looks a little glassy, so I don't know if that's black ice or just morning dew from being overnight, because it's still early in the morning. That's why I don't like being the first ones on the road. Made it back home safely. Just realized they didn't give me that free complimentary car wash they normally give. I don't know if that's a COVID thing or not. My car is, man, okay. I'm gonna get my car wash for real this time. One day, probably. But yeah, getting the oil change is one of the simple things that can make the car last a long time. Like, I'm generally always on top of my oil changes. This kind of came by surprise because it was 1,000 miles premature. But like my dad always tell me, always check the oil. And I'm glad I did when I did that overview video of 15,000 miles, because I would not have checked it until it was about time for the oil change. None of my cars have done this besides the GT350 and the Audi. And the Audi didn't even have a dipstick, so I couldn't even check the oil. My friend, who he has a BMW 7 Series, his car told him to keep adding oil, and he did, and he flooded the engine, ruined the engine, $12,000 to replace the engine. Thankfully, BMW paid for that, because that car was out of warranty. That dude lucked out. But yeah, oil change, big bang for the buck. If you neglect it, catastrophic failure. But if you do it, the engine runs forever. I had a few cars that lasted 200,000 miles. At least 4, 5 cars maybe with over 2,000 miles stayed on top of the oil change. Some of them just regular oil changes, not even full synthetic. But yeah, so I thought I got lucky and got one of the ones that didn't have any oil burning issues. Looks like I don't, because I don't even drive the car that hard. But it is what it is. Got to stay on top of it. new information, somebody please remind me to check that oil in 500 miles. So, about to get in the house, freezing out here. Q checking out. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.